Apologies, ladies and gentlemen, as it would appear that our frame rate issue is back, and I don't know what to do about it. I really have no idea, but this is the grand finals for the Southeast Asian teams. Let's go ahead and get that music muted now, shall we? Alright, so now getting the knife round underway, and this would be a very, very important map, or a very, very important, round for the team that wins it. Of course, Immunity may most likely be selecting CT side, as of course this is a fairly CT-sided map. That's indeed going to be the case. If I'm not mistaken, Luminosity Gaming took this to 11 rounds in the Grand Finals match against G2. Now we're just waiting for everyone to ready up, and they are ready. So now we're going to be getting that pistol round underway. Of course, Luminosity Gaming is Luminosity Gaming. If they're not doing something silly, they're doing something that's just well thought out and planned that works in their favor. Apparently, you've got the frame rate issue coming back. I'm not sure what to do about it at this moment, but I guess it's here to stay. I'm gonna check the frame rate real quick and make sure that it's nothing that I've set to be at the wrong frame rate, but yeah. Let's check this out. It's at 60 frames per second. There's nothing I can do, unfortunately. Bombs planted, and MVP Karnal have gotten it down, but they're making the hold right now, and it's 1 versus 3. All on Imagine now is the situation at hand. And Amon, he gets away with a 4K. Very nicely done by our MVP Master. So I'm thinking right now, just off the back of the pistol round, we could potentially see MVP Karnal get anywhere from 6 to 10 rounds while they're on terrorist side. I don't think, okay, basically, there is a frame rate issue. I've got an i7 4770K. By default, its minimal clock is 4 gigahertz. I don't overclock during the summertime because, of course, things overheat just a little bit easier that way. But that should not be the issue at hand presently. So, just kind of bear with us, and I'll see what I can do. Might have to restart my PC before the next match at WCA gets underway. Right now, MVP Karnal's actually taking a lot of damage here. I mean, Kaze, he's essentially one shot nearly. Center mass hit by anything will take him down and out. But of course, a nice Juan Dig coming in from Ricky can take down just about anybody on the team. This is the forced buy round to avoid overtime. And just waiting to see what the next step is going to be. There we go. ACAP gonna make that opening frag of the round with a MAC-10 in hand. And it looks like, no, that's actually going to be a ton of refrags coming in from the immunity side of things. They actually get their hands on quite a few weapons as well, and this works out in their favor. Give me just a moment, as there's a strange smell in my room. Oh, boy. It smells like burnt plastic. I may want to shut off my PC later today and figure out what the issue is. I think that there may be some kind of an overheat issue coming in the very short future. Although I'm not even overclocking right now. Alright, so there was a disconnect, 2 disconnects actually, one from Zever, one from Kaze. I don't live in a house, I live in an apartment, and there are very limited flammables in my home. Tilting? What happened with yesterday's caster? Was he getting frustrated at all the timeouts? All the players, all the teams are at LAN right now. And right now, actually what's happening is this tournament is actually determining who is the champion of Southeast Asia, I guess you could say. And the great thing about a best of 5 tournament system is that it's more comprehensive than it is, say, a best of 1 or a best of 3. Like, come on, wouldn't it suck to just have a best of 1 determine who wins the championship of a region, right? It would absolutely blow. But now it's going to be MVP Karnal now on the, how do I say this? On the eco side of things, sort of. But it's now going to be James. Imagine getting the, well, never mind. There's not a single frag or return frag coming in from MVP Karnal. We're about to find out how this one goes. But, of course, how do I say this? The regions are split up a little bit more comprehensively than this. Mongols have to be at this tournament. They would have to be, right? Let's check this out. I mean, all the teams, all the players are in Beijing. There we go. Immunity, Dreamscape, Execor. Someone's finally updated the Liquipedia page. There we go. Mongols got out of their group. Of course, a little bit unsurprisingly. Dreamscape actually made it to the LAN, it looks like, and they were taken down as well. And there were 4 groups initially, and now we are at the playoffs. This is actually the championships match, and interestingly enough, it looks like we're going to have a 3rd place match and a 4th place match between Mongols and Signature Gaming. And now Signature Gaming, it's actually worth noting that this is a very new team. They actually beat Mongols' old roster, back with NCL Meister and another player that I couldn't quite remember. Pop Flash coming in, although it does fail to some extent, Ricky does finish the job. And, you know, they only drop 1 player, so altogether not too bad in the way of profit. It could be the case that the 3rd place match probably, I mean, like, it would be, I feel a little bit more climactic to have the 3rd place match come in before the grand finals, really. But, it may not even be played. Just my thought process, really. So Mongols actually lost to Team Immunity, a little bit interestingly enough, even though they were the champions. That is to say, Mongols were the champions of IEM Taipei, and that was under what you could say is potentially speaking a weaker roster than the present one that they have now. But still, third place, 4th place is not too terribly bad for the finish in, I guess you could say, their region. But I imagine what's going to be happening here is very shortly we'll be seeing Team Immunity and MVP Karnal. I'm sorry, after this, they'll be going on to another stage of the tournament that, if it isn't settled this weekend, should be settled by the end of this year. This is actually a qualifier tournament. It finishes on the 21st, interestingly enough. But today's the 19th, so I'm a little bit mesmerized right now. First prize winning team will get 100,000 renminbi, which is equal to roughly, I'm trying to do that math. It's about a 6-to-1 exchange rate, 6.5-to-1 exchange rate. But now we got Immunity playing for the retake, and they're already getting a very, very strong, at least round lead into this. Pros don't fake, and it's going to be real coming in from Imagine, but Gazzad are just stalling for all kinds of time. There's not enough time for a defuse, and Avnu, well, nice surf, but he's still not able to live through this. I wonder if that burnt plastic smell has something to do with the new NVIDIA drivers I downloaded. Maybe a faulty power supply, maybe something, I don't know. I'm definitely not thinking it's the CPU, because that's been there for over a year now. Last time I had a similar issue was with a graphics card I had purchased back in 2007. And it was in conjunction with a somewhat faulty power supply. But the thing is, I haven't played with the cables whatsoever. I left that all to a technician that I had put it together for about 200 Taiwan dollars, 6 US. And the Zusi and James carrying their weight, doing it quite nicely. Oh, no. That, like, how did I say this? Okay, the graphics card, like, that was with the previous computer I built, like, nearly 10 years ago. Here we are now. Team immunity, I mean, like, that win, defusal win, no men lost, nothing like that. Just, I think I might have jinxed it with the way I said MVP Karnal potentially taking, you know, 6 to 10 rounds at the beginning of the first half, especially now that immunity have definitively turned things around in their favor. They can't get arrogant now. They got to continue to play the top of their game. At A-Long, we've got Ricky gonna get one. He's, however, immediately refragged, and that's gonna be a salvaged AWP, but what happens now of new? The bomb's been dropped, he's been spotted, his position's revealed, but they kind of have some players sandwiched at long A. This should have been reported by teammates. Just on-point shot calling really is all that needs to be done. And now it's 4 versus 1. Amon does make a refrag with a Gallo. You know, I mean, given the position that he was in, it's really not that bad. He only took 1 bullet in that exchange, but looks like Ovnu is going to be shutting down the prospect of getting a second one to his, or a third one to his name, rather. Full buy coming in once again for Team Immunity. MVP Karnal gonna go with a bit of a quasi buy, and round score is now 5-2. Alfnu getting the opening frag. Amon and Kaza just kind of, I mean, the entire terrorist team, for that matter, just kind of screwing around between A, mid, and everything else in between. Ricky switching to that knife on the retreat. Just, you know, I mean, something about, you know, when you switch to the knife on the retreat, it's just not something that makes me feel comfortable. Really. The reason why is because you can easily be caught, especially if you're running in the opposite direction of someone who would be chasing you. Because you've got no way to defend yourself, essentially, there. Yeah, you're running a little bit faster, but just, I mean, it just really makes me feel uncomfortable doing it. Push now coming in, but Ricky shuts down the entry utility coming in from Zever. It's actually going to be him getting a second or a third to his name. He's going to be looking for that third. He will be getting it. Unable to connect a headshot, and that's going to be Imagine stealing the quad from Ricky, but he lives with 2 HP. MVP Karnal now at only 2 rounds to their name. Should be a bit of a full buy or something close to it coming from our Malaysian monsters. Kaze getting 1. Now we have immunity down, essentially 1 man, but that was a nice tag onto Amon. If it wasn't done by an AWP, it was most certainly done by a headshot from an M4. I think most likely the latter of the two, but it's going to be James at 90, well, only 4 HP. 3 versus 5 now, and MVP Karnal, they've got the upper hand. How do they use it now is a very good question. Blind fire through connector, and ACAP is going to be pushing very shortly. Zusi shuts him down. He's got the wrong weapon in his hand at the wrong time, and that's going to be Zusi bringing it back to 3-3. Oh boy, double bad timing there. Just, I hate turning that corner whenever I've got a flashbang grenade in my hand. It really just, I really hate when someone turns a corner when I've got the flashbang grenade in my hand, because it's just like bad timing, really. Avnu getting one. Kaze getting another. It's going to be back to 1 versus 1 now as Kaze does even it up. Op versus op. Plant is real, not fake. And that is Ricky just executing our last MVP Karnal player. Classy boy coming in from MVP Karnal, and this is potentially, I mean, this is not feeling like good tempo for a potentially second prize team. James realized the situation. He bought an MP9 rather. Avnu looking for a double kill, might have to settle for a single. He will instead get a double. Kaze in bathrooms, gonna try and finish what his teammate started, but instead, Avnu's getting himself a triple. Last man standing on behalf of the MVP Malaysian Monsters is going to be Izzat. Izzat. Cast 1 round in Chinese. Oh my god. No. If I do that, someone's gonna kill me. Running down the clock. What is Izzat doing here? I mean, he's potentially looking for some kind of a frag, but that's instead going to be James getting a double kill, $1,200 to his name. And in this position, I'm actually very reluctant to hold on to the TMP if I'm James. I would want to immediately, yeah, there we go. He gets it. The M4. Just as I say it, he gets the M4. Teammates are looking at him like, are you serious, man? Like, they just lost like 5 rounds in a row. We're gonna be playing against AKs. Oh, okay, sure. Let me fix that. At best, what you're doing on a pistol round save is you're essentially keeping the enemy team from making, you know, $300 more off of your dead carcass, or $600 more off of your dead carcass. Depending on what weapon they have in hand. Could potentially be as much as 9,000. MP9, not TMP. Right. Of course. 2 used to 1.6 and source days, right? I guess there's no unsuppressed version of the TMP, right? Maybe? But checking things out right now. MVP Karnal very heavily stacked for bomb site B, and I think right now rotate coming in from Ricky might be in order. We've already got Avnu on heaven. He's in the right position. And here they come. All utilities going in. Smokes, mollies, everything else in between. Why are we watching Ricky right now? He's not at bomb site B. It's James who's gonna get a double kill. Gonna backpedal onto water as he tosses out a flashbang, and the execution here is not looking so great coming in from MVP Karnal. I'm definitely, you know, I'm looking at this and I'm wondering whose pick was this map. Clarion 556 best gun in the game. What? Are you kidding? It only has 80% damage output to that of the M4. But counter-terrorists win as they run down the clock, and Izater does manage to get a consolation prize for his time in the form of an AWP. He says, guys, are we gonna full buy this round, or are we just gonna, you know, waste? Just lay in waste at this point. Clarion 556. That's what they called it back in... I think that's what they called it back on the Xbox version. You guys are trolling me, right? Oh boy, Underground is about to get really heated. You can see Ricky getting, due to his name, one refrag coming in from Zever, but Ricky just shutting it down. Now it's 4 versus 2. Again, I mean, like, this is just not looking pretty for MVP Karnal. (14-4) on the frags right now, and given that it's not even at 14 rounds, this is actually a pretty decent ratio to be carrying right now if you're on if your immunity's Opper at this moment. It's the source name of the FAMAS. You're the one that's lying, saying you never played before. Source. It's been a long time since I played Source. Let me think. I think the last time I can remember was like 2012. And this was like a semester that I was studying in Taiwan. Ricky getting another and a double. Quad for his name. So like that little time frame had to be, when I played Source, it had to be from February to June. And I think I remember I bought Global Offensive when it first came out on the Steam Marketplace. This was like August, shortly after I had arrived back in America and resumed my studies. But Ricky gonna have an AWP in hand, and so too is James. So this is double op setup. Ricky's actually pushed up on bathrooms. He's got 16 frags to his name as well. Not bad. God, that was 4 years ago that I'd last played Source. Nearly. No tag there. That was a complete miss coming out from Ricky. Looks like, you know, I mean, really, immunity is essentially 6 rounds away from turning this into a 3-1 map finish. And I'm wondering if this could be a double peak or if this could turn into a collateral for Ricky. Oh boy. They don't want to time this the wrong way. It's going to be Amon making the opening frag with a Galil, and that's, whoa, what on that? Okay, Imagine gets a double kill in the background. I thought it was, for a minute, you know, you see 2 CT names there, you would think that it's going to be a collateral with 1 shot, but it's going to be Izzat bringing things back, and now 2 versus 1 not in favor of MVP. This is just, it's unfortunate. That's what it is, but we now see that it's going to be round 14 of the first half, immunity at 11 rounds. This is looking painfully similar to the Mirage game we saw. And already tempoed out to be more in favor of CT-sided immunity than CT-sided LG. Gonna be James getting a no-scope, gets a second flick to his name. Kaze actually does get a nice tag onto Zeus, I think. He does get the finishing blow onto James. 4 versus 3. Immunity's Zeusy now falling back to a secondary defensive position. Doesn't want to stay lurking at Toxic. And MVP Karnal is still stacked for bomb site B. I feel like, you know, they should be rotating in some regards, but underground we might have a bit of an exchange between Ovnu as well as Izzat. The best grand finals are typically the most climactic of grand finals. Either that or the ones where we see just absolutely amazing turnarounds. But it's going to be Imagine getting 1, Zeusy another. Imagine looking for yet another himself. But it's going to be Amon making his last stand with 2 players left on the board for immunity. Will MVP Karnal get away with the final round of the first half? I mean, they're not slated to do so. All signs point to no, as, you you know, with the full buy, the force buy that they have coming out here, we see the players missing helmets. And typically that's not the way to go pushing into a bomb site. You need to make yourself headshot proof against ordinary assault rifles from the CT side, and that's just something that they can't do right now. Tech 9's coming in with full armor and utilities. It's going to be Ovnu getting the opening frag of the round as Kaze is knocked out of this world. James watching connector, gonna get that flick as he's hit in the head. See, if that was an AK in the hands of Iman, then he would still be alive at this very moment in time, but unfortunately it is not. Zever, ACAP, Izat, they're just playing for the final round. They're just pushing through bathrooms right now. Ricky is on point at bomb site A towards the restrooms. He's going to be tossing in a smoke as he does receive a smoke from A long. He realizes what's up. And they're trying to turn this into what won't be a last minute rotate by tossing those utilities into underground. I think that was James who had done it. And now they're going to be pushing up. Here we go. Ovnu coming in. He was staying patient in bathrooms. He's going to get the double kill and the triple. Nicely done. I'm sorry, you got a quad by the end of the round, and that's going to be 13 rounds to immunity and only 2 to MVP Karnal. The pistol round is once again paramount, as they are going to have to turn it around from there. If they can't get it, then it's just going to be extremely, extremely hard pressed. They only have 3 rounds of wiggle room. We're going to have to see overtime if they want to win this. In such a case. If they lose the pistol round, I mean, yeah, they're only going to have 2 rounds to work with then. James just immediately purchases a P250. Says he's going to drop it for a teammate with armor. And this is actually 2 utility men coming out from immunity. So, double smoke, double flash, and they don't want to drop those because then they can't use them for their own efficiency. There's really only one of those utilities that will be dropped for a teammate should we see James or Zusi go down before using all of their utilities. I'd say immunity is simply on a different level. I would have loved to see immunity playing against Mongols, for example. Wait, that did happen. God. It ended in 0-2 in favor of immunity, which is interestingly enough. I think Mongols actually beat them at IEM Taipei. This is sneaky positioning coming in from MVP Karnal. 2 in favor of the MVP, 3 in favor of MVP Karnal side. That was actually, you know, James Bond 2.0 stuff, like Navy SEAL stuff right there, man. 2 versus 3 on bomb site B. They're going to continue to peruse this push, and that's going to be Ovnu bringing it back to 2 versus 2. He's now essentially one shot. Definitely anything from a USP will shut him down. See, that was just clean one shot more or less. But Zusi, he takes the long rotate to bomb site A. He's going to get the plant down, and our last CT, Amon, he actually does not have a kit. Zusi is on bank right now. Taps the bomb. It's a fake. Pros do fake. Just waiting for that play around the dumpster, and now the duel begins. No armor, but Zusi wins it. There was a time I remember when Mongols had nearly beaten Tai Lu. That was at CFG LAN where, of course, I was casting, but I wasn't on site. What I will say is, that they simply came 2 rounds away from winning, and I feel like what happened there was a technical issue that couldn't be solved. And Zever, strangely enough, going in there with The 5-7 does get one frag on a terrorist who had his back turned to him, and Ricky gets punished for 87 of his HP. So Amon, who's going to step out here, take a couple of pot shots that connect relatively well against his target. Now it's just looking increasingly out of control for MVP Karnal. Haven't taken a round in, I think, 10 rounds now. I don't think they've taken a single round off of Karnal, or rather Immunity, on this map in the past 10 rounds. I'm not sure if we'll be settling the 3rd place, 4th place match at a later time, or if it's just going to be a split of money or finances or something like that, considering we are behind schedule. This competition started about an hour later than expected. That's going to be Zater holding his ground, taking one down, but unable to scrounge that main weapon off of his target. Perhaps paranoid of the weapon being baited, I would be. No, this is it. MVP Karnal. Oh, Zater gets, well, he had the P90. This is not looking good. I mean, the full buy is going to be armor and upgraded pistols. What we have coming from Immunity, well, I mean, there's no reason for Offnu to gamble. He should just buy an AK-47. But he's going to continue to go with that MAC-10. When I first saw MVP Karnal came into this this best of 5, I didn't think that they would be winning against Immunity. I do know that Immunity has at some point beaten NA teams previously, invited NA teams, but that being said, I haven't seen a team like MVP Karnal playing against NA teams, but it looks like, hello. They're alive for one more round. Very nicely done by Izat. Well, Immunity, they might be long. Okay, might be more than just one round, as of course Immunity does have not so much money on the way of James. Just upgraded pistols for the time being. Quasi-buy. Immunity has taken a map off VP before and beaten Cloud9. Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Huge shout out to Simba there. But MVP Karnal, I mean, I haven't seen amazing performance. They were also at IEM Taipei. This might be the first LAN I've seen them at, to the best of my knowledge. Anyway, I'm just saying the first one I saw them at, not the first one that they played at, obviously. It's gonna be one refrag coming in from Ricky. Gonna pick up the FAMAS and get himself a second one. Reminds me of my ladder play yesterday. Mechanics can get you pretty far. I can get you out of Gold Nova. Just all you have to do is know how to aim. I'm trying to get that refrag. Ricky's got 2 HP. Gonna continue that push to some extent. And it looks like Imagine comes in for the refrag, and now all of a sudden this round has flipped itself on his head. And it looks like this is where Immunity may just be moments away from taking the championship for Southeast Asia. Oh boy. Oh boy. What now? They don't want to line up here. This could be bad for them. Potentially. But one thing is for certain, MVP Karnal have to push in if they want to get that retake, and that's going to be Zusi denying it. GG called out from both sides, ladies and gentlemen. End score of 16-3 in favor of Team Immunity. We would like to congratulate them as the Southeast Asia champions. They now have 100,000 renminbi in pocket, close to about